Hello all, welcome to the new video. Here in this particular video, I will be sharing my responses, interview experience, along with the questions and the responses what I said. For the recent interview, what I have attended was from the Xorient, and it was for the DevOps role. And here the years of experience was 3.9, near to 4 you can consider. And in the job description they mentioned they are looking for 3 to 8 years of experience at a candidate. So I attended near to 4, close to 4 years of experience. And it was a first technical round, and the questions I already shared in the earlier video. And I will also try to share the responses in the GitHub repository and attach that in the description. Kindly check it out, and if you're not able to found that, very soon I will take your time and update accordingly. Okay. And coming to the interview, yeah, interview went well. It is a 1 hour discussion, and the hiring process in the Xorient was it is a quite big company, I mean MNC company we can say. And it was they are looking for the internal project, uh, I mean internal project hiring it was. And as I said, the hiring process, it includes 3 rounds. One is technical, and second one also technical, and third one was managerial, and final like basic HR. Okay. And here the first technical will be is online. And once if we shortlist in the first technical discussion, then they will call to the in person, that means in the office, their office, they will conduct the second round as well as third round. Okay. So if any further update I will share regarding that interview questions as well as experience if anything is there. Okay. And by the time I recording this particular video, I haven't received any update for further round. Okay. And yeah, without further ado, let's discuss about the questions and responses. And as I said, the questions already shared in earlier, and I will strongly recommend prepare these kind of questions. And that might you are currently working in your project. And don't like jumble, or else don't feel fear in the interview. Just be confident, and like whatever exactly you worked, try to keep the same in the I mean in the resume. And in that case you will able to tackle those questions and answer in a real time without any fear or else faking some information. Okay. So yeah, moving further, I will be sharing my responses on these particular questions, how I will like answer. And I will strongly recommend consider preparing for this, and prepare frame your response accordingly for these questions. Okay. And the only intention why I was sharing was to, I mean, it will be helpful for many folks who are looking for a job change, or else who are looking, I mean, preparing uh, for the new job, and what exactly the expectations of the companies nowadays and all. Okay. So it will be the same generic only, but some companies, I mean, in this particular JD also, I see a concept of agentic AI and automation workflow, but they haven't focused much questions on that. Okay. And also one more thing, reason, I mean one more reason why I was sharing was it is kind of revision for me, and it will helpful for my future interviews as well as preparation. Okay. So yeah, I think I took longer time for introduction itself. Without further ado, let's enter into the video and have a first question discussion. Here it's a kind of introduction question, like what exactly my day-to-day activities, and in which projects I work, and how exactly you manage the things and collaborate with the cross-functional teams. Here my answer will be, as I was a DevOps and DevSecOps engineer. My primary responsibilities includes maintenance of CI/CD pipeline that starts from building and managing the cloud as well as Kubernetes environments and associated infrastructure. Make sure to ensure the secure, reliable as well as scalable deployments are happening. And on day-to-day basis, I work closely with the developer teams to understand the application changes as well as the build processes, and if any build issues are raised and what exactly the deployment needs, we need to gather that. And I also collaborate with uh, other teams like UAT teams to support the environment stability as well as uh, I coordinate with the security teams also for looking over the vulnerability scanning as well as the compliance checks and some incident handling, how exactly it was happening, are all these in place, and uh, looking over the monitoring part and alerting system, and basically the incident response and performing, let's say some performance issues are rising, make sure to trigger a incident and associated alert in the automated mechanism. And here a typical daily activities include managing and developing the Jenkins pipeline, monitoring those, and managing the cloud resources and Kubernetes clusters, and supporting further deployments, and awaiting basically rewriting the Jenkins as, let's say, some new business requirements came, as and also to onboard some applications, and also using some other tools like Ansible and Terraform for infrastructure and configuration management, and also using Python for real-time automation and release the manual efforts. And yeah, these are a kind of a response for this question. And coming to the project, also they asked, here I support mostly the microservices based applications which was running in a Kubernetes environment with the proper infrastructure, cloud infrastructure provisioning by using the like ISA tool like Terraform. And moving further question, for CI/CD you are using Jenkins, as I said. Yeah, I said yes. Later, let's say have a Kubernetes environment that might I'm going through the process like dev, UAT, and production. Here, how are you handling the pipelines? That means, are you having a multiple Jenkins pipelines which was triggered each per environment, or else a single job, or else pipeline which was triggered from entire development till the production? So how exactly it was happening, that is the question. Okay, here as I said, we are using Jenkins as a CI/CD pipeline where the Kubernetes deployment will be happened throughout the dev, UAT, as well as the production environment. So here we generally used to follow a single Jenkins pipeline where it will be a in entire environment. It will be a single Jenkins pipeline. It will runs in a specific stages along with separate jobs associated with each environment. So here how exactly it works was, there will be a CI stages that follows the build. Starting from build, later a unit test, later it follows the scans, basically the security scans, and then there will be a Docker image was built, and then it was triggered. These particular CI stages, whatever it is there, these stages, this particular job is triggered automatically on the code commit whenever developer code commits into the Git repository. And then the pipelines will build one immutable Docker image at the end, and then it was pushed into the Nexus artifact repository. Later, the CD process starts where it was comes under the deployment part. So the same image, whatever it was created in the deployment stage, so that particular uh, image will be deployed automatically to the dev environment. So after proper approval, then it will go to the UAT environment. So once uh, it was get a UAT approval, then it will reach to the production environment. So for production, obviously we need final approval from the associated stakeholders. So here the environment specific behavior is handled by using a different what we can say uh, value files, basically the manifest files or else the Helm charts, and also it includes the environment variables definition, and there is a dedicated namespaces for each environment, and there will be a dedicated clusters for the environment. So basically this particular approach will ensure it maintains a consistency across the environments, and there will be a uh, there will not be any issues with respect to the environments, especially in the production. And moving further question, in Kubernetes environments, how many services and pods which was running, and how many applications are actually deployed? Here in in our project case, we have around 20 to 30 microservices, which was depending upon the like application to application. Basically the projects, and there are multiple projects, not only single. So here each service can run up to five. It depends, like 2 to 5 as per the specific environment. So here overall we can say there is 100 plus of pods in the each environment. Here the applications are usually independent of the independent to each other, we can say independent microservices, and we basically manage and monitor these by using a kubectl, and also there is a like monitoring stack, basically the tools Prometheus and Grafana. And as I said, the number of pods, that count might be varying based upon the environment. um, for let's say higher environment like a production, there might be higher pods for maintaining the higher replica set as well as the higher availability. So that is the response. And moving further, how you are managing the deployments? So do you have a single pipeline or else a multiple pipelines for each branch? So in most of the cases, we use the single pipeline for a single uh, environment. So the pipeline behavior obviously changes when it primarily depends upon the Git branch as well as the environment and what are the approval gates it was provided. Let's say, for example, there will be a future branch where only CI particular pipeline will be there. Okay, and then there will be a developer branch where there will be CI as well as deploy into the development environment. So then in that case there will be two like pipelines will be triggered. And then if we talk about the release branch, there will be a pipeline which deploys to the UAT environment. And then finally there will be a main or master branch where that will deploy till the production. So basically this will keeps the pipeline will be in a centralized and will be in a manageable, and it is audit ready pipelines instead of maintaining a multiple Jenkins pipelines or Jenkins jobs. And moving further, let's say I'm moving a services to the production. That means deployment of 6 services out of 10 services from development to the production. So how are you managing this particular workflow? So in microservices architecture, we obviously deploy these particular services independently. Let's say if only 6 out of 10 services need to go into your production, only those particular services are built and deployed to the production. Other services will remain untouched. So this is properly handled by a separate repositories per service, we can say, or else uh, we can say monorepo with service level pipeline triggers. And here the each service will be having a own docker image, and there will be a own manifest or Kubernetes Helm chart, whatever, let's say Helm, uh, and dedicated pipeline. Okay, so this is how exactly they can be like deployed and managed. And and here finally the note was this particular deployment, whatever production deployment is happening, it is service specific, it is not with respect to the environment wide. And moving further, how do you come about the requirements? Basically a follow-up question to the above question, like how exactly you know the requirements for the deployments, and how do you move the code and understand your Jenkins pipelines runs. Once the Jenkins job is finished, let's say the uh, builds was done and released to the Kubernetes. So how would you know the things are working fine, working correctly into the production environments after the deployment? Here, let's say, first thing first, here the requirements. Obviously, there will be a mechanism, proper mechanism. We follow uh, a ticketing mechanism where requirements are come from the Jira tickets, as well as there will be a release notes from the respective team, and there will be proper sprint planning discussions among with our team as well as the developer team. And also whenever it is possible, we directly communicate with the developer team or with, and also the product owners. And here, once the Jenkins job finishes, we verify the deployment uses, uh, basically by using Kubernetes commands, kubectl, rollout status, like that. So, and also the associated application logs, and the uh, like what exactly the health status of the pods and all. And for monitoring and all, how we get to know like things are working fine, we obviously monitor is there any error rates, and is there any pod restarts, and what is the resource usage, and what is the latency of the deployed application. And also there will be a proper monitoring dashboards where we look into, and alerting mechanism also with the help of Prometheus. And yeah, these are the points where we look into whether the deployment is, the application is working fine once the deployment was happened. And moving further, for UAT, sorry, dev, UAT, and production, are you using a separate Git branches, and why do you need a separate Git branches? It is basically a branching strategy question. In our case, we do use a separate Git branches. Typically, we follow a dev for development enrollment, and UAT, I mean release or UAT. Basically we can consider UAT for UAT environment, and master for production environment. So these are the branches, and coming to the why exactly we need it separate branches. Basically that will helps to maintain a code stability and increases the stability of the code across the environments. And here if you see the master, which is the production code, will be remains protected, and it is easier for rollback as well as hotfix management. And also there is a hotfix or bug fix, what we can say, git branch also. And there will be a holistic control entire release process and all. And this particular branching strategies will avoid unstable code is going to reach into the production accidentally also. Okay, so that is the main why exactly we need a separate branching strategies. And moving further, let's say you are moving code from development to the pre-production. Once the pre-prod is fine, then you are moving the code to the main or master branch for the release purpose. If something goes wrong in the production and a hot fix or bug fix is needed, and here rollback is not possible due to some database or some backend changes. Here, what strategy do you follow to fix bugs in production? Basically, how do you uh, basically release that bug fix code into the production? Here, whenever a rollback is not possible due to, as here, some backend changes or some database changes, we follow bug fix or else hot fix strategy, where there will be a hotfix branch which was created from the master branch, and we apply a whatever the targeted fixes are required, and then we test quickly uh, in a proper controlled environment, and then we deploy that directly to the production. So once the production issue was fixed, the same fix is merged back to the developer like branch. So this will basically ensures there will be a future release included in that particular fix. So this is very common scenario, or else a real world production scenario we see in most of the projects or a use case. Okay, and moving further, let's say you have created a hotfix branch from the master. After fixing the issue, do you merge it back to the master and also into the development branch? Like, it is a kind of follow-up question. So once the fixing once issue was fixed, the hotfix branch is merged into the master branch, and also it was merged into the development branch. So why exactly we need to merge into the both master as well as developers? When we get merged into the master, here the fix will be applied immediately, and then the if we match the same code with the developer branch, the developer branch will be in sync with the whatever the bug fix was there, and obviously that will avoid reintroducing the same bug into the future further release. So that is the answer for that. And moving further, have you managed the sorry how do you manage the release versions? Here, for managing the versions, we follow a semantic versioning system. You may have also heard there will be a major and there will be a minor version, and there will be a patch, major dot minor dot patch. So here, let's say for example, there is a one was the stable version. Okay, so for some new feature, we use 1.2.0. Okay, that is for future. Let's say for some bug fix was there. In that particular case, we go with 1.2.1. Why? Because patch will be applied at the end, and here it is the minor and it is the major. Let's say we have a breaking changes. That means huge changes was upgraded, or else huge uh, changes was made. In that particular case, we need to go with a 2.0.0. Why? Because it is comes under the major change. So this is how exactly the uh, like versioning was done. And here the versioning is applied to git tags, as well as docker images, and whatever the deployments like helm charts are there, those all are versioned. So obviously this particular versioning will helps traceability will be the proper traceability, and rollouts can be I mean it will help for quick rollouts, and it is audit ready also. That means the compliance, that is also one of the compliance, maintaining a semantic versioning system for like whenever you are maintaining your versions for the software release. And moving further, are you creating a single Docker image for all the environments, or else you are creating a image separately for each environment? So here we follow the principle of build once. That means it will be built one time, and it will be used for everywhere. Build once and deploy everywhere, like that. So this particular single Docker image will be deployed to the multiple environments like development, UAT, and production. So why exactly the reason behind this was, it will makes consistency across the environments, and let's say if there is some environment specific bugs, then that will be avoided. And traceability also, it will help how the semantic versioning traceability helps. Likewise, it is also like traceability and rollouts that will help here in this particular case also. And it is I mean maintaining consistency, that is the one of the best practice. So that is also achieved by following best practice. So here the image will remain same, only the configurations will be changes based upon the environment. Let's say some environment variables, it will change in the development, pre-prod, and the production. And well, like whatever the secrets associated, helm chart values and configuration maps, that will only change. Others remains same. Okay, so that is the response. And moving further, can you use one image for the entire environment? As I said, like it is kind of a follow-up question. As I said, we use one Docker image. It should be used for entire environment. So these particular images will be, I mean, never be environment specific. Uh, Sorry. Yeah, it was never going to be environment specific. And as I said, instead we did I mean we dedicatedly change the uh, I mean basically the configurations based upon the environment. And that will, as I said, that will ensures reliability as well as consistency basically across the environments. And also maintaining one image in entire environment like multiple environments. That will ensures faster deployments also, and auditability features can be enabled, like better security audits, and there is no need to rebuild per environment. Same image can be built, used for multiple environments. Moving further, when pushing the images to a artifactory, let's say Nexus. In my case, we are using Nexus Artifactory Repository Manager. So how do you manage the life cycle of those particular images? So here, the life cycle basically that includes the what is the uh, retention policy set for the like build images whatever stored in the Nexus, basically the artifact repository manager, and what is the tagging mechanism or else tagging strategies we have followed, and what is the automatic cleanup activity. So retention, tagging, and automatic cleanup uh, followed. So this is the things primarily included in the life cycle. So here, coming to the retention, the best practice was we need to keep the latest image, or else latest whatever the count of let's say some n number of images. Let's say we said latest 10 images. Only those 10 images will be kept, and whatever the images which is tagged as a production, so that need to be retained and then purged. That means we need to delete the old snapshot, or else some, let's say we may have untagged images also, and some failed build images also. So in that particular case we need to purge, that means delete all these images. And coming to the uh, cleanup activity, that means this comes under the tagging. And coming to the cleanup activity, where this basically works as per the Nexus, basically the tool level policies, basically the Nexus lifecycle cleanup policies. And let's say we have a scheduled cleanup script, we need to apply those particular cleanup activity scripts to perform the cleanup. And there might be a Jenkins cleanup jobs also, we can trigger that to clean up the Nexus image artifactories. And moving further, let's say the developers are creating a multiple images, and by the end of the month there will be many images in the artifact repository. So how do you manage these images lifecycle, and how do you decide what images need to be purged and deleted and kept? So does the same strategy apply to the production, pre-prod and prod? So as I said in the earlier answer only, it was this particular answer was covered. And I mean there is a additional consideration here. Does the same strategy apply to the pre-prod, prod, and development? I mean each and every environment. So as I said, like we keep only the newer images up to n count, and whatever the project production tag it is there likewise. And some, yeah, basically that one. Sorry for the stacking. Okay, coming to the like last response regarding the what we can say environments. So the retention obviously differs by the environment. Why? Because for the production we need to keep long-term retention. For the UAT we can keep some medium retention, and for the development we can keep the short-term retention. So this obviously balances the like traceability as well as storage cost also, if it is a paid, I mean enterprise version of storage mechanism we are using. So that is the one. And moving further, how do you create a Docker file for Node.js? Which version do you use? What base image and what is the final image size, how do you manage the node modules, and that means do you install the node modules each and every time or else copy from somewhere else. So how exactly you are managing these things? So this is a question with respect to the Docker file. So here basically following best practices was the answer for this, that best practices uh, include maintaining a multi-stage Docker file. Okay, so multi-stage Docker file. And coming to the base image, like what exactly we can use was Alpine version we can use. Uh, that means a Node Alpine, like that. Basically, Node version 18. And here, why these need to be maintained was obviously there will be a smaller size. Okay, size will be less, and then there will be a faster build time. Okay, time will be less, I mean the build time, and obviously it will be security friendly also. I mean that is the best practice, that is the reason I said. And coming to the managing the dependencies, so in the first what we can say stage, we need to install the dependencies, and then that means we need to install and then build the application. And then in the second stage, multi-stage, right, second stage, we need to copy only the build artifact, whatever the artifact it is got from the first stage, and then we need to exclude the, like, whatever the dependencies required in the development. That means excluding the development dependencies. Okay, excluding the development dependencies. Okay, why? Because we already installed the dependencies and build the image in the first stage itself. So obviously finally the image size will be usually under some 100 MB or maximum to 200 MB. So sometimes even smaller than that also. So this is some best practices need to be followed. And with respect to the security, there might be, I mean, some more best practices like creating a dedicated user and setting up your resources limits, and uh, network segmentation, like that. Okay, and moving further, uh, the question was, if the image size becomes very large, so how do you handle this particular image size? So obviously in that particular case we need to what we can say, uh, I mean, as a best practice, we need to make sure to use a Alpine version image. That means whenever we are choosing the base image, we need to choose Alpine tag one, and we need to go with multi-stage builds. As I said earlier, once the build was done, then build artifact will be used in the second stage, like that. Okay, that means we need to follow the multi-stage Docker file, and then let's say some unnecessary tools or files is there that remove unnecessary things. Okay, that need to be removed, and like whatever the dependencies which was there in the development, that need to be removed. Why? Because we already built that in the first stage. That means remove development dependencies, same RDD will come. And then using a dedicated docker ignore file, that means docker ignore file. So this will brings like what are all the things needed to be excluded from being to be a part of that image. Okay, so these are the some best practices need to be followed. And also as a best practice, we need to make sure to scan that image. That means a scanning part by using popular tool like Trivi or Snake. Okay, so we need to scan the image for security issues, or if some that will also suggest some following best practices also. So obviously that will improve the performance and also improves the security, and it will be cost efficient also. Okay, so that is the answer. And moving further, what are the things you do by using the Terraform? There are some questions in the Terraform. Moving further. code. So here in our project, we use Terraform for provisioning cloud infrastructure and managing some clusters in the Kubernetes environment, and let's say some VPC and network components need to be created, and we need to create some IAM roles and policies that can be managed through the network. I mean, through the Terraform and uh, some S3, basically the database and instances, EC2s. And this can be created, and yeah, that is the answer for that. And why we use Terraform was basically that will allows a version control system can be maintained, and there will be a consistency across multiple environments if you are using Terraform. And the retention also, it is very easy in Terraform. And moving further, the follow-up question with respect to Terraform, can you agree? Sorry, can you give a recent example where you have worked with the Terraform? Like what exactly the task you have performed by using a Terraform? Recently, we have used Terraform for creating a EKS cluster where we have used configuration. I mean, we have used that for configuring the nodes also, and creating the IAM roles as well as network components like VPC and route tables, subnets, and all. And we have used like for storaging remote backend with the help of S3 storage with DynamoDB locking mechanism, and the I mean the variables for the environment specific values will be set up, and also we maintain a what we can say reusability. Basically the modules will be maintained for reusability. Yeah, there is one more question with that also. I will speak more about that. Have you used Terraform workspaces? So in the Terraform there is a concept called workspaces where that will help to manage, let's say we have a dev, we have a pre-prod, and we have a prod. So uh, we can manage with these environments with the help of workspaces. So uh, we can, I mean, by using the same code base with different like a state file and different variable files, I mean variable file associated values. So that will be helpful there, workspaces. So basically that will help to avoid duplication across the environments, and it will maintain a consistency across the multiple environments. And moving further, how do you differentiate the environments within the Terraform? Yeah, as I said earlier, we use what we can say variables was the one where we define the variables as per the environment specific, and there is a concept called Terraform workspaces. I just spoke earlier, I mean just now, workspaces, and uh, TF-vars also you may heard, environment specific TF-var files. So let's say if I talk about like how exactly the setup looks like, there will be a variable.tf file where it includes the common variables, and there will be a environment specific tfvars, dev.tfvar, uat.tfvar, likewise prod.tfvar. So this will be, I mean this includes the environment values, and this particular state will be remotely stored with a proper locking mechanism with a separate uh, I mean with a separate proper separate state for as per the environment like pre-prod, dev, and UAT like that. And yeah, moving further, think multiple environments by using a Terraform. Yeah, here it is a kind of further follow-up question. Are you responsible for writing a Terraform module? I said yes. Let's say, for example, if you wanted to write a module for your EC2, what are the best practices do you follow, and how do you write a reusable module for different Terraform scripts, and what kind of standardization do you implement while writing the modules? So let's talk some best practices that need to be followed right writing a Terraform modules. Okay, so first thing first, uh, there will be what we can say one resource type per module. That means when we are creating a EC2, there will be a dedicated module for that. VPC one module, a subnet one module, like that. Okay, there will be a dedicated module. Okay, and then there will be proper input and output variables is defined, and that means the variables need to be defined, and we no, we are not supposed to hard code any like credentials or something like that. That means no secret hard coding, like that I was mentioning. No secret hard coding, and we need to uh, implement, or else we need to use defaults like wherever it is possible. We are not supposed to maintain uh, as dynamically all the time. Whenever it is possible to maintain the defaults, we need to use that, I mean maintain those defaults accordingly. And then um, and also we need to make sure to maintain the version for the modules, module versioning. Why? Because that will be helpful for like to look into and to manage, let's say if multiple modules are there, or else same module but multiple versions are there, then that will be multiple like uh, I mean, same what we can say functionality of the module, but multiple versions. In that case, versioning will be helpful. And coming to the EC2, like sorry, yeah, coming to the EC2 module, where the module structure includes main.tf first, main.tf, where here the primary EC2 resource creation specifications is there, and then there will be variable.tf, v.tf, which it includes the configurable inputs, like what exactly the configurations, and there will be outputs.tf, where that will includes what exactly the instance ID, what exactly the IP, and whatever the details we need, that will be specified in the output.tf. So this basically allows some modules can be reused. I mean let's say we have EC2 infrastructure creation module, same this. Okay, so same this particular module can be reused in a dev, can be reused in pre-prod, can be reused in prod. Okay, so pre-prod, prod, everything that will allows. Okay, and that also can be used in multiple projects also. So that is the main use case of this. Okay, and moving further, there is some questions with respect to the Python. So let's deep dive into those questions now. Okay. So here the question was, are you also work with the Python? I said yes. How do you handle the exception in Python? Basically the exception concept. Can you give a simple example of an exception? So where exactly and why exactly you use it? And also tell me where you should not use the exceptions. So here in Python, the exceptions are basically used to handle the exceptions in runtime. Let's say if some runtime errors was occurring, error handling can be managed by using that. And I mean the common what we can say, exceptions or else scenarios where we can use this particular exceptions was, uh, let's say some file not found error, network failures, some input validate input output validation errors. So we can use, in that particular case we can use a try exception. This was the one exception, and there will be a accept exception. We can accept that, and there will be a finally exception. We can also create a custom exceptions also. So basically, in one line, if I wanted to say, exceptions should be used for wherever there is a exceptional cases. In general, it's not a logical flow. Okay, so that can be accepted. Okay, that is not a error, that can be acceptable. uh, in that particular case, exception will be used. In simple example, I will tell one simple example. Yeah, as I said, there will be three like exceptions, and also we can create custom exceptions also. Let's see what exactly the existing exceptions address. So there will be a try exception, as I said, right? So that will, that will test a code that might fail. Okay, and then there will be a except exception where, let's say, the code runs, this particular except block that will runs only if the about try is error. Try block is getting a error. Okay, and then there will be a finally block where, with respect to of what exactly the try block and exception block happened, this will runs. In simple example, if I wanted to say, let's say there is a one code which, it was performing a math operation, simple math operation, which is dividing zero. Okay, that means uh, a number dividing by zero. Let's say 10 it is there, 10 by 0. Okay, so this particular operation is performing with the help of Python. Okay, so obviously whenever we perform this, 10 cannot be divided by 0, then it will give a, zero division error, right? So in that particular case, we can gracefully handle that particular error by using a exception handling. So initially what we do was we use try block. Okay, so in the try block, what we do was, we like specify what is the numerator, what is the denominator, and what is the result. Basically the numerator by denominator, and then we are going to print something like result. We are going to print this particular result. Okay, so here obviously this particular try block, now it will get a error. What exactly that error? Zero division error. Now we are going to write a, what we can say, except error, except block, very after the try block. Okay, in this except error, we are going to specify zero, whatever the error it occurs, zero division error. uh, exactly that we are going to write, and then we are going to just print something like, you cannot divide 10 by 0, or else you cannot divide a number by 0, like that. Okay, so now what it happens, first the code will try to run the try block, and then it will obviously fail. Then this except block will run only if the try block fails. If we write numerator as 10 and denominator as 5, and then if we use the except block, it won't run, it will directly go to the finally block. Try except and finally, I said, right? It will go directly to the finally block. So it will say it simple math operation was completed, like that. And in the except block, there will be a one code which says this math operation cannot be performed. And once after the exception block completes, in our case 10 by 0, right? So finally that means it is also a block. How the except block is there, we are going to just print a some generic message, or else a simple message. Math operation was completed like that. Okay, so this will run irrespective whether the except block run or don't run. Okay, so whether the try block run or don't run also. Okay, so that is the use case of the exception handling in our in here in this particular case. Likewise, we can handle like whatever the errors just now I spoke, like file not found error, network failure error, some invalid input output error. Those can be gracefully handled by using exception handling. Yeah, one more point I need to talk was there is one more question like where we should not use the exceptions. So normally, let's say some conditional checks are there that need to be mandatory followed. In that particular case, to do not to skip those conditional checks, we need to we are not supposed to use the exception handlings there. Okay, and let's say if some business logic or business decisions are there, in that particular case also we need to try avoid using the exceptions there. Yeah, moving further, where the question was, how do you read the file in Python line by line? Let me write a quick, simple script here. I'm so sorry for bad handwriting here. Somehow I have written. So here it is just a simple script where it will reads the file line by line. Now let me explain like what exactly it was doing. So if you see, there will be a like with open. Okay, so basically this is a context manager. So here it opens the file and most importantly it automatically closes, let's say as soon as the code inside the block finishes. Even if it caught error also, then it will closes. Okay, and here with open, and then we are closing the brackets, and inside that we are indicating 1.txt was the like whatever the target file name, or else some text.log file or something like that. Okay, and then r comma r, I mean text file name dot comma r, basically r mode, that is basically the reading mode. It will tells Python to open that particular file in a read mode, uh, and then there will be a as file argument that we need to pass. Okay, with open, and then whatever the file name, read mode as file, and then there is a uh, loop, for loop we need to use for line in file. Basically, in Python, a file object is iterable. This means the loop will automatically grabs one line at a time from the disk instead of loading whole file into your computer's memory. So this will makes it safe to use even for like some GBs of files in size. Okay, and then finally there will be a line dot strip, I mean where we are printing line dot strip with the closed brackets. So what exactly it does was, by defaultly each line, that means a string, it includes a invisible new line character, that means hyphen, sorry, slash n character, uh, from that particular file. So here in this particular print statement, what it was doing was, we are using line dot strip. So strip, it will prevent your output from having that empty lines before every row, or else after the row also, if it have a empty line, then that will be removed with the help of strip argument. So that is the like explanation of this particular code. Now moving to the next question. So have you worked with lambdas? So basically the lambdas, I mean the lambda function, which is a very small function, and it also don't have any name, and also it defined in a single line, and it is very much used for smaller tasks or quicker tasks. And the syntax for the lambda function was, we are going to specify the lambda keyword, and then we are going to specify the argument and then the expression. So let me give a clear cut what we can say like difference between the regular function and the lambda function. Let's say if you wanted to get a square root of 5, okay, so for the regular function we need to specify def keyword, and then we are need to specify square, and then whatever the x like value, that x we are going to specify, and then we are going to specify the return statement, and then in the return we are going to specify x into x. Okay, so here I'm just writing x star x. Okay, so then if we print, that means print some x. Okay, that means square of 5 if we print, so this will print 25 as a result. So this is the regular function how we are going to define. Now coming to the lambda function, it will be written in a single line like square of lambda. I'm just giving some generic name, okay, and then we need to give the lambda keyword, that is mandatory, and then we need to specify the what we can say, the argument. So here the argument will be x, like whatever the square root, and then the expression will be x into x. Okay, so for getting a square root, right, and then we are going to print some or like whatever the square lambda we have used here, that one square lambda, and in brackets 5. Okay, so this will return say 25 as the output. So that is the basic difference between the lambda function and the general function. So the use case, as I said, for quicker tasks, and I mean quicker tasks basically, that will be helpful, and we no need to specify the a name also for that function. Okay, and then coming to the next question, what is, it is the final question. Do you know the lambda handler? How do they work? Basically, the lambda handler is comes under the AWS, like AWS Lambda. Here, the handler is the main function that runs when the lambda is triggered, that particular function is triggered. So it takes that particular event basically as a input. That means it has a data sent to that particular function, or else request is sent to that particular function, and then the context, basically the two things, event and context. Okay, so this event and context, context is some information about the runtime, event is some data to the function. So when something is triggered, that particular lambda, uh, I mean triggered by the lambda, then AWS will call this particular function and runs the code and then returns the results. So that is the lambda function AWS, I mean within the AWS. Yeah, these are the questions I wanted to be shared in this particular video, and I hope like whatever the information I have shared till now, I mean discussed till now, is worthy. I mean that paid your time, and that will be helpful for your like future preparation and considering the real time questions how it will be. And as I said, it was for the 4 years of experience. If you are falls under this category, I mean this category, like around 2 to some 5 years in between, like that, then this real time questions is very much helpful uh, to tackle those situations, and you can expect a similar kind of questions in your interviews also. And the questions difficulty will be completely depends upon the particular role and the responsibilities, okay, and the position, like how many years they are expecting. So yeah, that is the thing. And as I said, I will be keeping the resources in the description. Kindly check it out, and stay tuned for more videos. All the best for your preparation, and once again, thank you.